friends. Welcome to CTUCC ConferenceCast for May 1st, 2015, the regular podcast of the Connecticut Conference of the United Church of Christ. Whoever you are, and wherever you may be on life's journey at this very moment, you are welcome here. Here today happens to be the city of Toronto in Ontario, Canada, where I'm attending the convention of the Associated Church Press, jointly held this year with the Canadian Church Press. Every time I attend this event, I'm grateful for the privilege to share a ministry of communication with the talented and dedicated writers, editors, and publishers I've met through this association. We begin this week's conference cast with this meditation from Karen Ziel, Minister of Faith Formation and Leadership. In the 15th chapter of John's Gospel, Jesus describes God as a vineyard keeper who trims the vines so that they will bear more fruit. As the Father loved me, I too have loved you, he tells his followers. Remain in my love.
In Brian McLaren's new book entitled We Make the Road by Walking, the introduction is a reflection on seeking aliveness. He believes all people in these challenging times are seeking aliveness. He hears the spiritual but not religious articulate that they seek aliveness. That is, they are spiritual, yet somehow their experience of faith community has not nurtured it. McLaren writes that some have had an experience of religion that shrinks, diminishes, cages, or freezes aliveness. Jesus' image of a God who tends a grapevine names the antidote to diminished aliveness, offered as Jesus invites us to remain in me and remain in my love. I have often engaged in a practice of reflection at the end of the day, which includes a promise before the divine to remain more faithfully in Jesus' love. For me, the practice, remain in me and remain in my love, nurtures the fruit we bear. The fruits of the Spirit of which Paul speaks in his letters are indeed the fruits of the vine of which Jesus speaks. When we are compassionate, we bear fruit. When we are merciful, we bear fruit. When we are peacemakers, we bear fruit. When we are joyful, patient, kind, generous, gentle, and self-controlled, we bear fruit. I cannot bear this fruit apart from living in the way of Jesus and remaining in his love, in divine love. I have known the desolation of being apart from God's love. At times when I have not borne this fruit in my relationships, or in my work, or in my community, I have been apart from the source of love. My prayer in that moment is, Source of love, remain in me. I seek aliveness. Bearing fruit, pruning that which is not life-giving is hard work. It is one facet of discipleship's cost. I continue to seek practices that awaken aliveness. Here is a prayer for this week. Divine Gardener, I will remain in you as the dead wood is pruned. I will bear witness to the fruit of your love. Amen.
We lift our prayers today for those afflicted by the earthquake in Nepal and those seeking a just community in Baltimore. May God aid us all to be compassionate neighbors and righteous citizens. In the news this week, the United Church of Christ has already dispatched aid to earthquake-stricken Nepal through its partners in the area, and has issued a call for contributions that will fund both immediate emergency relief and long-term recovery. You can learn more and give securely online at ucc.org/disaster. On April 19th, the Church of Christ Congregational in Norfolk, UCC, turned the pulpit over to a group of 4 scientists working in the field of climate change, led by Dr. Janelle Hanrahan, Assistant Professor of Atmospheric Science at Lyndon State College in Vermont. Joined by Silver Lake Conference Center Sustainability Director Pam Arifian and 2 students, she described the research about shifts in climate patterns and what actions people might take to mitigate them. This was a tremendous opportunity to learn about the science of climate change, as well as our part in turning it around and caring for the earth, said Pastor the Reverend Eric Olson. It also demonstrated that faith and science can come together with positive, even powerful results. In Essex on Saturday the 25th, an interfaith and multidisciplinary team of presenters surveyed the medical, legal, memorial, and spiritual concerns that surround the end of life. 4 UCC congregations co-sponsored the event, along with 4 more houses of worship and several other organizations. The Reverend Kathy Peters, pastor of the United Church of Chester, UCC, urged the attendees, most of them older individuals for whom these questions have grown closer, to make their choices soon and to share them with family and friends.
What is it that sustains you, not only looking back, but looking forward as we are now in a different time in our lives? And I'd like you to add one more question, perhaps at the back section there, that says, what and how might you want your last years to be? How do you envision these last years? What is important to you now?
Sharing those decisions with family and with professionals was the theme of the day, repeated by speaker after speaker. Hospice nurse Kelly Zersi captured it this way.
This is my soapbox for hospice. I do live my life to the fullest every day. I am one of those huggers. I do say I love you and thank you and I'm sorry. But when it is my time, I do not want my friends and family to say she was a great nurse, because I am much, much more than a nurse. And I want them all to walk away with a piece of me. And if something happened to me today, they're all leaving with me, because I've done my work while I'm living.
On Sunday the 26th, First Church of Christ Congregational UCC in East Haddam took up the concern of mental illness, welcoming David Fitzpatrick and his wife Amy Holmes to the pulpit to tell their story of his struggles with severe mental illness, which included episodes in which he cut himself. They stressed that stigma can slow the healing process. Amy Holmes said, "Bringing it out into the open, making it part of the conversation actually, can relieve some of that pressure, can relieve that hidden desire, and the realization that I'm not the only person who has this kind of stress and wants to take it out on myself." For more on these stories and all the current headlines, visit us at ctucc.org/news. Spring Action Weekend, when volunteers help get Silver Lake ready for the summer camping season, starts this evening. The Conference Youth Revival is this Sunday, May 3rd in Bloomfield, and I hope to see you there. The New England Association of United Church Educators meets next week, May 5th through 7th in Craigville, Massachusetts. Boundary training for authorized ministers will be held next Thursday, May 7th in Tolland. Clergy Camp returns for its second season, May 12th through 14th, a time for busy ministers to take a step into being a camper once again at Silver Lake. Registration is open. Silver Lake's Spring Open House is May 17th, and that's a great opportunity for first-time conferees and their families to get to know the blessings of the place we often call God's backyard. Silver Lake will host the Environmental Justice for All retreat the weekend of May 29th, when high school-age youth of color can explore the environmental concerns of their own neighborhoods. The CTUCC Conference Choir begins its rehearsal season with a day-long retreat on Saturday, May 30th at Silver Lake. On Sunday, May 31st, the conference will hold a special worship service of celebration and recovenanting at 3 o'clock at the First Congregational Church UCC of Cheshire. We'll give thanks for all that God has done in bringing us together as the United Church of Christ in Connecticut. And we'll take new vows to work together interdependently as conference staff, local churches and their leaders, and in the wider communities of which we are a part. Please join us for this very special time of worship. Registration is open for the 9th Annual Silver Lake Golf Tournament, which will be held June 8th in Wallingford. You can receive training in the Godly Play Faith Formation curriculum June 12th through 14th in Mystic. And a special opportunity, the Reverend Nadia Boltz-Weber will address the Massachusetts Conference on June 13th at their annual meeting at the University of Massachusetts in Amherst. We're invited to come hear her and her bold and compassionate voice. Register now to be sure of a space. To learn more about any of these events or to register, visit us at ctucc.org/events. Our Spirited Wednesday thought comes from the Reverend Allie Perry, pastor of Shalom United Church of Christ in New Haven. She tells the story of tutoring a third grader named DeMarcus, who insisted that she, not he, be the one to do the drawing. She did as he asked, but she protested that she wasn't a good drawer. Looking on, he praised her work and gently told her, "Don't ever give up on yourself." She writes, "No doubt DeMarcus had heard these words spoken to him, a gift that he then passed on. Such is love in action, a gift from God that we are called to pass on." And that brings this ConferenceCast to a close. Thanks to Karen Ziel for her reflection, and to GarageBand for our music. Primary funding for ConferenceCast comes from your congregation's gifts to our church's wider mission, basic support, changing lives through the United Church of Christ. This is Eric Anderson, the Associate Conference Minister for Proclamation, Identity, and Communication for the Connecticut Conference of the United Church of Christ, praying that your days this week may be filled with the presence, the guidance, and the grace of God. Friends, this is the last video edition of CTUCC ConferenceCast. My thanks to those of you who've watched it since it first premiered just over 3 years ago. We hope that the end of this production will give us space for new offerings, and we also hope you'll enjoy the ongoing audio edition of CTUCC ConferenceCast, which will return on schedule next Friday. Thank you, as always, for listening and for your support. May the blessings of God be with you.
Okay, put that in the B-roll.
Okay.